Welcome to the Westcott Crochet channel and welcome to this lovely summer cardigan. Information on the written pattern can be found in the description box, along with a link to purchase the stitch markers which are featured in this video. Those featured, along with other lovely designs, are all handmade here in Ireland by I Change Something in support of Jigsaw Mental Health Charity. For this project, my yarn recommended a 4mm hook and I used a 4mm hook. I also used a tape measure, stitch markers and a yarn needle to weave in my ends. If you like this one, please show the algorithm that I exist by tapping the thumbs up button and sharing it with any crochet friends. It really helps to improve my reach. Also, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to support future releases. You can now also follow me on Instagram, and if your account is set to public, do tag me on any pictures of your Westcott crochet projects. I'd love to see them. I'm going to start today by working up a small swatch in this stitch pattern. I'm a real swatch dodger, I have to confess, and I've paid the price today because I've worked up quite a way on this project and then had to whip it all out and start again because I'd lost width. So this particular stitch pattern, it seems to want to stretch height-wise, but not so much width-wise, and I lost a fair amount of width after I'd worked up a few rows. So I'm going to start by working a swatch, and in doing so, I'll show you the stitch pattern. So I need a multiple of 6 chains plus 1. I'm going to chain 31. There's my 31 chains. There are 2 ways to start the row. I'm going to show you both ways. In both instances, I need to work 2 double crochets together into these first 2 stitches. The first way of doing that is I chain an extra 1, and then those first 2 chains become half of my double crochet, the first one. So then I go into the second stitch, yarn over into the stitch, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that counts as 2 double crochets worked together. The other way, I'll just unravel that. I'm going to work a standing double crochet into this very first stitch, well, half of one, and then finish up with the second stitch again. So I'm just going to twist my loop so that both strands come together. I need the height of a double crochet with the loop, plant my finger on to hold it still, wrap the loop around my hook, insert through the stitch, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and then I stop there. Yarn over, in through stitch number 2, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 loops. And that again is 2 double crochets worked together as one. So whichever way you went, after that, chain 2, skip 1, and work a double crochet into the next chain. Chain 2, skip 1, and then the next 3 I'm going to work together as a cluster, a double crochet cluster. So yarn over for the first one, in through the stitch, don't forget to skip your chain, pull through 2 and stop there, yarn over, in through the stitch, pull back a loop, pull through 2 and stop there, yarn over, in through stitch number 3, pull back a loop, pull through 2, and there we go, we've got 3 half finished double crochets and 4 loops on the hook. I'm going to pull through all 4 loops to finish all 3 stitches. Then chain 2, skip 1, double crochet into the next one. Chain 2, skip 1, and work 3 together. So that's the pattern: chain 2, skip 1, work 1 double crochet, chain 2, skip 1, work 3 double crochet together until you get to the end. At the end, you should have worked a double crochet and you'll find you've got 3 chains left. I'm going to work the last 2 chains with a double crochet cluster, so work those together. So 1, 2 chains, skip 1 on the base, and the 2 double crochets together at the end. So stop at that point for the number 1, in through number 2, and then pull through 3 loops at the end. So that's row 1. For row 2, chain 1, turn around and single crochet in top of the last stitch there. So the cluster stitch. Chain 2, single crochet on top of the double crochet. Chain 2, single crochet on top of the cluster again. So it's not the one that goes before it, it's the one that's stacked on top of all of your stitches. So it's this one here, not this one, just to avoid confusion. So single crochet on top of the cluster, again chain 2, single crochet on top of the double, chain 2, single crochet on top of the cluster, all the way to the end. At the end of row 2, I've just worked my last single crochet on top of the 2 doubles there at the end. Onto row 3, you can either chain 2 for your first half of your first double crochet, turn your work, and then the second double crochet goes into this first space here. So yarn over that one, in through the space, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2 to complete your 2 double crochets. Just going to back up there, because I'm going to work a standing double. So just turn without chaining, pull up my loop, work the first 2 loops of the standing double and stop there, into the space for the next one, and pull through the last 3 loops to finish the 2. Chain 2 and work a double crochet into the single crochet, which is directly in line with the double crochet from the row prior to that. Chain 2, and then I need to work a cluster of 3, and this time it goes into the space here for number 1, into the single crochet for number 2, into the space on the other side for number 3. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on the hook, pull through all 4. Chain 2, double crochet on top of the single in line with the double from the row prior, chain 2, and then I'm back to a cluster of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and basically you're just repeating what went on down on row 1 all the way along. When you get to the end, you're going to work 2 together again, so 1 in the space and 1 at the very last stitch. I'll be there in a second. So here at the end, first double crochet to that point, in for the second, oops, right on top of the stitch, there we go, and 2 together. So that's the repeat. From here we're back to chain 1, single crochet on top of that last stitch, chain 2, single crochet on top of the double crochet, chain 2, single crochet on top of the cluster, and then back the other way and repeat what went on the row prior to this one. I'm going to work up a few rows and then calculate how long my start chain needs to be from there. I've worked up 2, 4, 6, 8 rows, and I can tell you that my start chain measured 19 centimetres and this little swatch now measures 17 centimetres, so I've lost 2. So you can imagine over a much wider piece that's actually quite a lot of difference. So it's very important to work up the little swatch to save yourself some time, unlike me who wasted a whole bunch of time. Anyway, From this, I can work out what my start chain should have been and save all that trouble. So I know that 17 centimetres is 31 stitches. So if I take the 17 centimetres and divide it by the 31 stitches, I get 0.548. So each stitch measures 0.548 centimetres. I need 92 centimetres, so I need to work out how many 0.548s are in 92. So 92 divided by 0.548 gives me 167.88 stitches. I need to get a multiple of 6 out of that, so rounding it to the nearest multiple of 6. So my 167.88 stitches divided by 6 equals 27.98, so 28. 28 times 6 plus 1, 169. That's how many stitches I need for my base. I'll put that up on the screen. I hope that makes sense. You just work that out in line with your numbers and just substitute whatever your calculations are and whatever figure you need for mine, and then you'll get your stitch count. For your start chain, measure around the widest part of your upper body. This is the measurement that you're aiming for. Now measure your swatch. Take the number of stitches in that swatch and divide it by the swatch measurement. This tells you the measurement for each individual stitch. Next, take your upper body measurement and divide it by your individual stitch measurement. This tells you how many stitches you're going to need. Now divide your stitch count requirement by 6 and round up or down to the nearest multiple of 6. Now add on 1 and you have your stitch count for your start chain. I worked my 169 stitches and I've worked 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 4, 6, 28 rows. This is what I have. I think I got to about here when I realised that it wasn't right last time, so I had to undo all of this. I was not amused. So anyway, we're right now, and you should be right now too. So as I say, 28 rows, and this takes me from the bottom, this is the bottom, up to my underarm. So this is where I want my sleeve to start. I'm going for quite a wide sleeve, so I'm basically about sleeve's width from the top now, and the rest needs to be finished in 3 different sections. To find those 3 sections, I'm folding in these 2 sides. Sorry, I can't get it up on camera. This is better now that it's folded. It's just too wide. So finish up on a single crochet row, single crochet chain 2 row, and then split into 3. So I've added stitch markers at the point where I'm going to divide it up, and it's roughly in fifths. So this is a fifth, this is a fifth, and the back is 3/5, but it doesn't have to be exact. I've just gone for roughly. You need to make sure that you're splitting on top of a cluster. So it's the chain 1 space that's on top of the cluster, that's where you're going to split. And then obviously match the 2 sides so that they're equal. And make sure you've got enough room for your neck, which is going to be in here. So that's my split. I've gone for, let's have a look, the half cluster, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm split on the 6th full cluster on both sides. I'll show you what to do next. So here I've started the next row in exactly the same way as I have been doing all along, and I've worked up to the stitch that I've marked, the single crochet stitch that I've marked for the division. So this is panel number 1 now. It's going to go straight up to the shoulder. So into the marked stitch, I need to chain 2 first. I'm going to work a cluster of 2, so into the space and into the stitch, and that's going to then finish my row. So I'm basically just calling an early close to the usual row, like that. So then I'm going to chain 1, come back with my single crochet row, and this is my new width until I get to the shoulder. So I'm just going to work this now all the way up to the top of my shoulder. I've worked this first side section all the way up to the shoulder, this point, just chain up one to secure that and cut my yarn and pull that through. I'm going to keep going in the same direction, so the second panel starts from here. I started from this side, so I'm going to start from this side. I'm going to go into the same stitch that I've marked for the end of panel 1. Add on a slip knot, pull that through, and if you're doing your chain start, then you need to chain 2 and work your second stitch together. I'm just going to take that out now because it's just in the way. But I'm going to do a standing double start, so I'm just going to chain 1 to secure that first of all. Okay, so starting into the same stitch, and that's stitch number 1. Stitch number 2 goes in the space as usual. And then just carry on the pattern and work across to the next stitch marker, and then work all the way up the full height, the same as I did over here, and that's the back panel. We've worked the entire back section right up to the top, same as the front. I've ended on a double crochet row, same as the side, and I'm going to just join the shoulder with a single crochet stitch. So again, I need to work up this other side, and I need to come from the same direction. So, whoops, nearly lost my yarn. Coming from this side where I started, right the way over here. So I worked all the way across in this direction. If I started from here at this point, from the other corner, the stitch pattern would look ever so slightly different. I don't know if you can see on camera the difference between the front and the back. It just looks different. So I need to make sure that I start here and go travel my stitches in the same direction. If you're not sure which direction you need to be going in, if you look at the tops of your stitches, to change direction at the end of each row, you're following the arrow end, the pointy end. So if you're at the rounded end, then you're going in the same direction as you were for the last row. This confirms that I'm going in the opposite direction, which is what I need to be doing. So again, made a slip knot into the very same stitch that I ended the last round, right into that corner stitch, single crochet stitch. Sorry, it's not really a corner, it is now, but it wasn't initially. On with a slip knot, pull that through. If you're chaining 2 to start, chain 2 and work your second double crochet in the space. For me, I'm going to chain 1 to secure it as before and start right from here into the same stitch with my standing double, or first half of, and then the second stitch into the gap. And just work along again from there all the way up to the top. I've worked up the whole of the third section, and over here I've joined at the shoulder and added a sleeve. I'm going to show you how to do that over here. So I'm all lined up to join the other side, the other shoulder. These are the right sides facing each other on the inside. I'm going to go in through, just get that tail end out of the way so you can see, the very corner stitch on both sides. I'm going to add on a slip knot, pull it through and chain 1 to secure that. And I'm just going to, again, move these out of the way, single crochet in through both those stitches again. Chain 2, top of the double crochet on one side, top of the double crochet on the other side, single crochet, chain 2, top of the cluster, top of the cluster on the other side, and single crochet. So it's exactly the same as if I were working another row, but I'm just joining the two sides together whilst I'm doing that. I'll work all the way to the middle, well, to the edge of this panel, and then I'm done. After I worked all the way across with my seam, I chained one to secure my work and cut my yarn. I've reattached over in the first stitch again in exactly the same way, into the stitch, slip knot on, chain one to secure. This is the seam from the outside, just along here. I'm going to start working a sleeve now around the arm opening. I'm going to start with a single crochet row, and to begin I'm going to chain up one to build up my yarn, and I'm going to add a single crochet just into the top of this seam. So just poke in any way you can, a single crochet. Then I'm going to chain two, and in between these two double crochets which we started each row off, starting with the two together, I'm going to go into the middle of that double crochet with my hook and single crochet, chain two, into the single crochet, chain up here, straight in through there for the next one, chain two, again, here's the two double crochets, just going to go in through the top, just picking up a couple of loops in the middle of that stitch, chain two, and again here in between the two rows. I've worked all down this front side and I'm just here at the bottom, and at the bottom I've got two sets of double crochet stitches where I started or ended each row. I've just worked my last single crochet in between the two rows as normal, I've chained two, and without changing I'm just going to go into the middle of this double crochet, chain two, and then straight to the middle of the next one, chain two, and on again up the other side. Here at the end, I should technically work a single crochet in the middle of this double crochet, but I need an even number of single crochets for this round, and I already have 38, so I'm going to skip that one. So I've chained two after the last single crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch into my very first single crochet to close the round. And what will happen is on the next round, I'll work the cluster of three and it will just cover that up, and you're never going to notice if there's any difference. The next round, I'm either going to start with a standing double or chain five. Chain five is 3 for the replacement double crochet and an extra 2 for a chain two space, and then turn your work. For me, I'm going to standing double, so I'm going to turn my work to begin with and work that standing double right into that same stitch. And then chain two, and I'm going to work a cluster around this next single crochet, so in the gap, on top of the single crochet, in the next gap for the 3. So that's the first one, second one, third one, chain two, next single crochet gets a double crochet, chain two, the next one I work a cluster, so the gap, the single crochet, the gap. I'm going to do that the whole way around. At the end of that round, work my final chain two, after my cluster of 3 and slip stitch into the top of my standing double. If you chained to start, slip stitch into the 3rd chain. Chain up 1, turn around and work the single crochet row. So a single crochet into that very first stitch, if it will allow it. There we go. All kinds of tricky for some reason. Right, okay, and then chain 2, single crochet top of the cluster, chain 2, and single crochet on top of the double. So it's exactly the same pattern, just working now in rounds as opposed to rows. So back at the beginning, when you worked all the way around, slip stitch into the very first single crochet and then go back on with your double crochet round, remembering to turn directions and work back the other way. I'm going to work 3 rounds of the double crochet. So the single round here, another double, a single, another double. I'll be back then to add, where have we gone? Little bobbles for the last round. So here I am after 3 rows of double crochet, obviously with single in between. And because the stitch count was so dense on round 1, so close together, it naturally causes the sleeve to fan out without doing anything at all. So I'm going to add a final row of the single crochet with the little bobbles. So onto the last round, chain 1, turn around, I'm going to first single crochet into that stitch, and I'm going to chain 2 and single crochet on top of the cluster. Then I'm going to chain 3, and at the base of the chain I've got this loop and this loop next to it. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops for a slip stitch. Then I'll chain 2, single crochet, top of the double crochet, chain 3, base of the chain, these 2 loops here, and slip stitch. And that's what I'm going to do the whole way around. So it's the same single crochet, chain 2, but every time I single crochet I'm going to chain 3 and work a little bobble, and then chain 2 and work my way around. The last one is at the start point. I'm going to slip stitch into my first single crochet, and then chain 3 and just grab up a couple of loops there. Oops, that one, and let's go for that one. And slip stitch. There we go. Just going to go in through just beneath the bobble, pull through a loop and just slip stitch again just to secure that off. Pull that tight. I can now cut my yarn, pull that through. One last thing, I'm going to add some bobbles around the bottom. I'm going to go in through the bottom stitch, just grab up a couple of loops there, add on a slip knot, oops, pull that through, chain up 1, and work a single crochet into that same stitch. Then chain 3 and work the slip stitch into those bottom loops. Chain 2 onto the double crochet in through the top of there, chain 3 and work the slip stitch into the bottom 2 loops. Dropped it, there we go. Chain 2, that one's kind of messy, let's go back on that one. Did not look pretty. That's better. Chain 2 and in through the centre of the cluster of 3, because I'm obviously at the bottom now, so it's 3 flat ends. So in through the centre stitch, single crochet and then work the bobble. So I'm going to do that all the way around the bottom. I'll be back. At this point, my bottom edge is all fully bobbled and I'm all done. If you do all of that, you'll have one of these. If you like what you've made, spread the joy and share the video with your crocheting friends. As always, thank you so much for watching today.